Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. On June 24, 1398, the founding emperor of the Ming Dynasty, Zhu Yuanzhang, passed away at the age of 71. According to his arrangements, his grandson Zhu Yunwen succeeded to the throne. This young emperor came to be known as the Jianwen Emperor. However, the reign of the Jianwen Emperor was short-lived. Only 4 years later, he was forced to relinquish the throne after losing in a coup known as the Campaign to Pacify the Difficulty, Jingnan Campaign. At that time, Zhu Di, the Prince of Yan, who commanded a powerful military force, launched a rebellion under the pretext of eliminating treacherous ministers and restoring order to the court. He ultimately overthrew Zhu Yunwen and declared himself emperor, becoming known in history as the Yongle Emperor. After Zhu Di ascended the throne, the whereabouts of Zhu Yunwen became one of the most enigmatic mysteries in Ming history, known as the number one mystery of the Ming Dynasty. According to the official records of the time, on the day Nanjing fell, Zhu Yunwen committed suicide by setting fire to himself in the palace. However, this claim has long been highly disputed. Many historians and popular legends offer different perspectives. Could it be possible that the Jianwen Emperor, Zhu Yunwen, actually escaped his pursuers during the chaos, changed his name and identity, and went into seclusion, living the life of an ordinary man? There are even more widely circulated stories suggesting that he fled overseas, went into hiding, and never reappeared. In fact, from the moment he ascended the throne, Zhu Yunwen's fate was doomed to be anything but peaceful. Although he was Zhu Yuanzhang's favorite grandson and had legitimate claim to the throne, the political situation at the time was already extremely complex. Zhu Yuanzhang's sons, Zhu Yunwen's uncles, mostly held military power. Especially Zhu Di, the powerful prince of Yan in the north, who had strong military forces and rich battlefield experience, making him Zhu Yunwen's greatest potential threat. To consolidate his rule, the Jianwen Emperor decided to implement a policy of reducing the power of the vassal lords, Shuefan, aimed at weakening their military authority and preventing them from becoming too powerful to control. In the short term, this policy had some effect. Princes such as those of Zhou, Qi, and Xiang were stripped of power or even placed under house arrest. However, the policy was executed too hastily and too aggressively, especially in handling Zhu Di, where the approach was overly radical. Zhu Di feigned illness and humility, even sending his son to the capital as a hostage to demonstrate his loyalty. But secretly, he was amassing power. As the situation deteriorated, Zhu Di eventually tore off his mask and raised an army under the banner of removing traitors from the emperor's side and punishing the wicked, thus beginning the famous Jingnan Campaign. In the early stages of the war, the forces loyal to the Jianwen Emperor had the upper hand. But Zhu Yunwen placed too much trust in civilian officials like Qi Tai and Huang Zicheng, while ignoring the advice of experienced military commanders, resulting in many missed opportunities. At critical moments, Zhu Yunwen also appeared overly hesitant. Facing his uncle's advancing troops, he was never able to act decisively, hoping instead to resolve the conflict through negotiation or surrender. This indecisiveness gave Zhu Di the chance to gradually erode his power. Eventually, Zhu Di's army advanced with unstoppable momentum, making its way to Nanjing. In June 1402, Zhu Di's troops broke through Nanjing, and the Jianwen Emperor's rule came to a sudden and complete collapse. With the fall of the Imperial city, the fate of Zhu Yunwen immediately became the focus of national attention. In the official histories, his name abruptly vanishes, as if he had disappeared from the annals of time. According to the Ming Dynasty's official account, when Nanjing was captured, Zhu Yunwen, along with the Empress and Crown Prince, chose to die in a fire for their country. However, this account had numerous inconsistencies from the start. After Zhu Di entered Nanjing, he claimed to have found 3 charred corpses in the palace. and announced that one of them was Zhu Yunwen. He even held a funeral to mourn him. But the issue was that the bodies had been burned beyond recognition, making it impossible to identify them. So how did Zhu Di determine which one was Zhu Yunwen? What's more puzzling is that to this day, there is no definitive record of Zhu Yunwen's burial site, casting a thick shadow of doubt over the claim of his death by self-immolation. On the contrary, legends suggesting Zhu Yunwen faked his death and survived have continued to emerge without end. Some believe that he took advantage of the chaos to escape, afterwards changing his name and concealing his identity, either shaving his head to become a monk or disguising himself as a Taoist priest, hiding among the common people. There are also claims that he fled overseas, wandering to a place in Southeast Asia, where he lived out the rest of his life as an ordinary citizen. What's even more intriguing is that Zhu Di himself seemed to doubt whether Zhu Yunwen had truly died. It is said that he repeatedly ordered Zheng He to voyage to the western seas, besides spreading national prestige and promoting trade relations. One of the important missions was to search for any trace of Zhu Yunwen overseas. However, despite Zheng He's multiple expeditions throughout the South Seas, no sign of Zhu Yunwen was ever found. Whether he lived or died remains a mystery. Fast forward to 2006 in Anshun, Guizhou, when a shocking piece of news emerged. A local ordinary family claimed that their lineage had been passed down from generation to generation and that they were descendants of Emperor Jianwen, Zhu Yunwen. Even more astonishing, they produced a family heirloom, an ancient seal. This seal, it is said, bore the inscription, Seal of Heavenly Mandate, Feng Tian Ji Shi, one of the key symbols of imperial authority used exclusively by emperors throughout Chinese history. The news sparked widespread public discussion. Many historians and archaeologists rushed to Guizhou, hoping to determine the authenticity of the seal. After a series of evaluations, experts concluded that the seal did exhibit characteristics typical of the early Ming Dynasty, whether it be the style of the carved characters, the choice of material, or the craftsmanship. All closely resembled the seals known to have been used by Ming emperors. This discovery suddenly lent credibility to the theory that Zhu Yunwen had indeed escaped to Guizhou. According to the legend, Emperor Jianwen chose to flee to Guizhou precisely because it was a remote area, far from the political center of the Central Plains, and thus less likely to attract the attention or pursuit of the imperial court. So, if Zhu Yunwen truly escaped to Guizhou, what kind of life might he have lived? According to local chronicles and folklore, during his escape, Zhu Yunwen changed his identity multiple times, often disguising himself as a monk. He wandered across various regions before eventually settling in Anshun, Guizhou. It is said that some of the ancient temples and Taoist sanctuaries in the region still pass down stories of a mysterious monk, stories that bear a striking resemblance to Zhu Yunwen's experience. It is conceivable that in an isolated place like Guizhou, Zhu Yunwen lived a low-key and hidden life. He chose to completely abandon his royal identity and never again appear as an emperor. Instead, he integrated into the local community as an ordinary man, living a quiet, undisturbed life. Legend has it that he spent his later years preaching and teaching disciples, living simply and peacefully. It was only on his deathbed that he revealed his true identity to his closest confidants. It was for this reason that his descendants were able to preserve the imperial seal of heavenly mandate as a family heirloom and pass down the family secret through generations. Some historians also note that Zhu Yunwen was intelligent and diligent from a young age, and was known for his deep filial piety. When he was 14, his father, Crown Prince Zhu Biao, fell ill. Zhu Yunwen stayed by his bedside day and night, tending to him with great care. In 1392, when Zhu Biao passed away, Zhu Yunwen was so heartbroken that he grew thin and weak, deeply moving his grandfather, Zhu Yuanzhang. Zhu Yuanzhang comforted him by saying, "Your sincerity and filial piety touch my heart." That September, he formally named Zhu Yunwen as Crown Prince, securing his status as the heir to the throne. After ascending the throne, Zhu Yunwen upheld Confucian ideals of benevolent governance, determined to change the harsh rule of his grandfather's era. He advocated for ruling the people with kindness and leniency. He reformed the legal system and sought to overturn numerous unjust and false cases from the Hongwu reign. During his time in power, the number of prisoners dropped by 2/3, significantly easing the burden on the populace. He also issued decrees to cancel overdue taxes and provided disaster relief for families who had sold their children into slavery due to poverty. The government paid to help them redeem their children. Furthermore, he limited the landholdings of monks and Taoist priests and redistributed the excess land to commoners. These reforms significantly eased social tensions and brought a period of peace and stability to society. Although Zhu Yunwen reigned for only a short time, many of his reforms reflected the image of an idealistic and responsible, benevolent ruler. He hoped that through his efforts, the nation would suffer less from harsh governance and experience more compassion, bringing a stable and peaceful life to the people. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.